Yoga and prolapse can be tricky because there's quite a lot of different degrees of prolapse. So I really recommend before you start practicing any sort of yoga, please go and get checked out by a pelvic floor specialist or a physio who can make sure that your prolapse is mild enough that you're able to practice this yoga class. That being said, this class is going to be nice and gentle. We're going to avoid any poses or any breath work that will put any intra-abdominal pressure on the pelvic floor. We'll be avoiding all of that. But as always, if anything doesn't feel right in your body, please come to rest and join us when you're ready. So let's start our practice today in our Tadasana or mountain pose. So take the feet underneath the hips, spread the toes and press gently down into the feet. So you should feel quite nice and balanced in the feet. And then feel like everything else is stacking neatly on top of those feet. So feet, knees, hips, shoulders, crown of the head. Turn the palms out to face the front. And let's just find the breath here. So breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. I know that for many of the women who I've worked with who have prolapse, you can feel overwhelmed by the thought of it. You can feel really alone and unsure of what's going to happen. So all of that stress is living in our body. Let's just try and land in our body today, in this space, finding the breath, reminding ourselves that we're going to be okay. So something that we're going to be using a lot today during our practice is our Mula Bandha or our root lock. So this is our engagement of the pelvic floor. So I want you to think of the pelvic floor muscles like a hammock that hang from the bones of the pelvis. So it's like we're lifting these muscles in and up. Just going to stay here in our Tadasana, engaging that root lock. And the good thing about this practice is you can do it at any time of the day. No one else needs to know that you're doing it. There shouldn't be any tension held in the face. It's just a conscious awareness between mind and the pelvic floor and engaging the Mula Bandha. So continue just to stand, breathing whilst engaging the Mula Bandha or root lock. Good. We're going to do 5 more full deep breaths here. You can stay just with the traditional Tadasana, or if you like, we can grab a block and bring the block in between the upper thighs. And the only change here is that we're going to squeeze the block with the inner thighs. So still engaging the Mula Bandha, squeezing the block, continuing to breathe. Let the face and shoulders be nice and soft. Maybe even bringing a smile to the face, reminding ourselves it's all okay. You're not alone. Many other women experience this as well, and there is help out there. So make sure that you've sought that help. Breathing here. See if you can expand into the ribs out here from the mid-chest. Keep squeezing that block so the inner thigh should feel nice and engaged, pressing into that block. Good. So again, you can stay here with or without the block, or you can add on coming into our chair pose. So taking a seat down, still nice and gentle, so not too much of a bend through the knees. If it's not nice on your shoulders to have them up, you could bring them onto the hips. Just breathing here, squeezing into that block and engaging through the pelvic floor, lifting in and up. So one of the good things about working with a pelvic floor physiotherapist is if you can't engage that pelvic floor and you've lost that mind-body connection, they're going to give you some really good cues to help you reconnect there. So that's why I always recommend going and seeing them first before you try any sort of yoga, because they're going to help get those foundations right. When you're ready, slowly rise. Good. We're going to come down onto the floor now. So come on down nice and gently, using your hands to support. We're going to come down into our Dandasana. So both feet out in front, squeeze the inner thighs together here and find the sit bones pressing evenly on the ground, and then find some length through the spine. So sitting up nice and tall. If you need, you can have a little bend through the knees if your hamstrings are quite tight. And then just as we did in our Tadasana, we're engaging that Mula Bandha, that pelvic floor lock. So let the breath move freely in and out through the nose. See if you can drop the shoulders away from the ears, dropping any stress or tension you might be holding there. Just breathing here with that engagement. Good. And then releasing the Mula Bandha, we're going to bring one leg in towards the other and just gently forward fold. So super gentle forward fold here. So gently stretching up the back of the hamstrings. Keep the face and neck nice and soft. Good. Breathing gently. This should also feel enjoyable for your body. So I know that when you've got complications, especially post-birth and things like that, can feel really overwhelmed in our own body, like our body is no longer our own. So just take some time in this practice today just to remind yourself that you and your body are worthy of your love and your time. Breathing here. Good, slowly coming back up to sit. We're going to change the leg that's out in front. If it doesn't feel good for you to lean forward, perhaps this puts compression on your belly and that doesn't feel nice, then feel free to stay sitting upright. You don't have to forward fold. Just actively drawing the toes back towards you is going to give you that nice stretch up the back of the legs. But if it feels okay, gently forward folding. Like I said, it's just a super tiny little press forward just to increase that stretch. Breathing here. Letting everything else soften. Good. All right, we're going to release the leg and we're going to come down onto the back into a supported bridge. Now you can do your supported bridge on a bolster if you have one. You can also do this on a block. I actually prefer the block because I like the hard pressure on my tailbone. If you don't have either of these things, rolled up blanket or cushions will work as well. So we're going to come on down. So not putting any pressure on the core, just like when you were pregnant, rolling on down. And then bringing the feet to about hip distance apart, gently pressing into the feet, getting your prop ready, just to slide under. We're going to keep it on the lowest side today. So pressing that tailbone down into the block, make sure it's in a comfortable position, and then just let the arms rest. And then I just want you to breathe here, in and out through the nose. Now you're welcome to stay here just in the really restorative version, or you could gently squeeze the inner thighs together, so adding a little bit of activation through those inner thighs. You could also take the arms above the head. I'm going to create a little bit of space here in the ribs, so helping to relieve some of the pressure in the abdomen that we might feel pressing down onto the prolapse. So just imagine the ribs. Visualize them in the mind's eye, and as you breathe in, imagine they're expanding out with the in-breath and then softening with the exhale. The hands above the head just feels nice to create a little bit of extra space here. Good. When you're ready, release the hands down, gently pressing into the feet to lift the hips up off the block so that you can slide it on out. And then slowly rolling to one side as we come up and have a seat. We're going to come to the wall now for our legs up the wall. So for this one, I do recommend using a bolster just because it's more stable. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can get up onto the wall first and then slide the bolster under if you prefer, or you can roll up onto the bolster. So my preference is coming on up first. So get your bolster beside you so that you're ready to slide it under the hips once you're in position. Bring your right hip up against the wall so you can roll the legs. You shouldn't have to do too much shuffling once you're there because you'll bottom will be nice and close. And then all you're going to do is press the feet into the wall so that you can slide that bolster under. Make sure that you're comfortable here. And again, the bolster is sitting underneath the tailbone, supporting, so we've got that pressure coming off the abdomen, off the pelvic floor. And then all there is left to do is just relax here. Breathing deeply. Breathing into any spaces in the body that feel tight. Maybe even closing down the eyes if that feels nice. And then when you're ready to, just pressing into the heels. So just as we came in, we're going to slide the bolster out, roll the hips down, and roll to one side to come up. And then so from here, the final pose we're coming into is just a gentle supported chest opening. So helping to open up the thoracic spine, open up through the ribs and the chest. And we're going to keep the legs extended out in front. Typically, we don't go into any wide leg poses just to avoid worsening the prolapse in any way. So just allow yourself to come down onto the bolster. Again, if you don't have a bolster, cushions or pillows off your bed or a rolled blanket will do. Rest the hands so the palms face up. Close down the eyes. This is also a good one because often the women that I work with are hunched over little babies all day, cuddling and rocking to sleep, feeding. We get that really rounded upper spine, so helping to counteract that as well here today. Also helping to calm our nervous system, bring it down from its high stress state, which is natural when you've got a little one. We come into high alert because biologically that made sense for us to be on high alert to protect them. It might take a while for you to remind your body that it's safe. Breathe deeply. Next breath, start to bring yourself back, blinking open the eyes, taking small movements with the fingers and feet. And then when you're ready to, gently rolling to the side and using the hands to support you to come up to sit. So sitting in any way that's comfortable for you. Typically I recommend sitting up on a bolster and just bringing the legs out in front so you're still keeping the legs together. And then bring the hands to heart. Just taking a moment. I know it sometimes feels like our body is failing, maybe feeling like something we did wrong. Just take a moment here to honor your body and all the amazing things that it has done for you. The light in me honors and sees the light in you. Thank you for practicing with me today.